Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to show number 2 of the Global Reality 10-year anniversary celebration. Thanks again to everybody for tuning in and being here with us for another show. We've got lots more to talk about and get into with you here on this show tonight. So strap in, buckle in. It's pretty interesting, too, as one of our listeners actually asked if I would talk about something that I'd already planned on talking about tonight. So always good and interesting when it turns out like that. So strap in, get ready for all this stuff. TheGlobalReality.com is my website where not a lot, well, you can find, I know the website's worthless. I'm going to be working on getting that thing revamped and redone over the next 6-7 months or so. But you can still go there and find all the documentaries, the download shop. I forgot to mention on the first show here that we have the 10-year anniversary Global Reality, the audiobook series, 90-plus hours of audio, all the audiobooks that I've done over the past 10 years, collected in their entirety in individual MP3 audio files for the first time ever. All the other collections and everything were always multiple files. Kind of a pain when you're going to try to listen. Sometimes they get shuffled around out of order when you put them in players. These are all individual single files. It's on sale for only $20, but it's going up to its regular store price of $30, which is still a deal. I mean, even if you don't end up getting this thing while it's at $20 and you get it later at 30 or whatever, you can even go look on Facebook and look at the posts and read the comments. There's a thread over there right now and also on YouTube from happy customers who already bought it, and everybody saying it's a steal and well worth the money. I mean, we've got a lot of comments, more comments probably on this collection than even on some of the films and stuff I've made. So, you got 24 hours left to get it at $20. I'm going to give it's technically was going to end at midnight tonight, but I didn't mention it on the first show, so I'm going to give everybody additional time to get it at $20. So you have till midnight Wednesday night, Central Standard Time, to get it for the $20 before it goes up to $30. But again, if you don't end up getting it till later at $30, you're not. I mean, you're still going to be getting a deal for what you're getting with this 90-plus hours. Some of the books, a couple of the books in there are impossible to find. I think it's Our Story of Atlantis. It's probably the most expensive book I ever bought. I bought that thing a while back, many years ago, and it kind of just sat in my collection, and I forgot I had it. And I was going through my books a couple of years ago, and I found it, and I was like, yeah, this will be a good one to do an audiobook for. And I had never read it, and it's a really impossible book to find. And the Atlantis and the Giants, that's another real rare one, too. And those, we sell those individually in the download shop for $10, so you're getting both of those for your 20 or your 30 if you wait. So, again, you're still getting a deal no matter what with this collection. I mean, really, honestly, I in my honest opinion, I think the collection's worth $50. But, I'm not going to sell it. So I want everybody to get a deal and be able to have this stuff. And plus, it's, we're celebrating our 10 years here. And, again, we are running out of time on our fundraiser. We've had a couple of people contribute today, but not a lot, not what we need. But thank you to those who have. Sherry, specifically, thank you, Sherry. You are a doll, and I love you so much. And thank you so much for supporting my work and in a big way and helping out. And I just can't thank you enough, Sherry. I'll definitely have a special prize for you very soon. Jason, I want to thank Jason, too. Jason was another person that contributed today. $100. Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate that a lot. You are the man, sir. You know who you are. Thank you so much, man. And we just need more people. Like I said, this is the fucking Jerry Lewis telethon time. I mean, we're in dire need of stuff. We never make enough off of these films. This thing is, I put thousands and thousands of dollars in making these films, and we never make back enough to make the next one, and that's really always only the goal. And I'm hoping once Spellcasters 2 is out and I get the 10-year anniversary box set, Blu-ray and DVD, we're going to do Blu-ray DVD downloads. We'll also have some limited edition, like flash drive versions available. We're going to have some different packages and stuff. That'll be, we'll be coming out with that sometime after Spellcasters 2 comes out. But we're just in dire need of new equipment, new gear over here. And all of these upgrades and stuff that we get are not just going to allow us to keep going, which is the minimum we need, just to keep everything going. But it's also going to allow us to start pumping out, because when we get new computers, everything will be faster. 4K video camera, everything's going to be higher quality. We'll be able to pump stuff out at a much faster rate and at a much higher quality, because every day that goes by that we don't have new gear is closer to, because we're really, this stuff's running on it's been repaired. It's on its last leg, and all this stuff's about to die. And the problem is that while all that's happening, we're getting farther and farther behind, you see. And believe it or not, if you fall behind in technologically when it comes to this stuff, believe me, I'm speaking from experience from having made films, done this stuff for the past 10 years. My technological behindness hurt me for the first 4 or 5 years I was doing this. So that's the main thing. I don't even know how this could happen. I haven't even mentioned this. I've tried to see if anybody's ever. This is just the most bizarre fucking thing. I was talking yesterday about shit that's going on. Yesterday, I woke up in my iMac, and it's 7 years, like a 7-year-old iMac at this point. But this is what I do all my films and all this stuff on, and it's old. It needs to be upgraded. But yesterday, I woke up in the whole thing looks like somebody took a hammer to it. It's just, I don't understand how that could happen. Can screens on iMac spontaneously explode? I'll put the picture on the Global Reality Facebook later. The whole screen is shattered all the way across the front of the screen, and then on the side, like on the side of the computer where the disk drive is, there's a big chunk taken out of the blade. It looks like somebody took a hammer to it. I don't know. I don't have anybody in my house. Nobody's in my studio. I don't know how this could happen. It's fucking weird. Like, I don't know if they sent some sort of malware to make my computer overheat and explode the screen. Maybe they have shit like that now. I don't know. But it's fucking weird, and it weirded me out. And I honestly didn't even want to bring it up yesterday because it was still fresh on my mind. I just wanted to plow on with the show because I knew if I got onto it too much, I'd fucking that's all I would talk about. So I had 24 hours to sleep on it. I don't know. It's just fucking weird, but it's like shattered all the way across the front. It's working still. I was already having problems with this thing as it was, but now it's like, I'm getting this close to the film when this happens. It's on par with the stuff that was happening to me when I was making Spellcasters 1, but it was different. That was different because I was getting lots of psychic attacks and electrotronic, the weapons and that kind of stuff. Frequency weapons. Now this is, it's just the bizarrest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen a computer do this or a screen. But it's like, it's like somebody smashed it with a hammer on the side and on the front of it. Like, almost like you would try to do if you were trying to destroy somebody's computer because of information on it. It's just bizarre. None of my data has been affected. The computer's still running, although I'm a little paranoid about it maybe being a fire hazard or something. Because it's fucked, man. It literally looks like somebody smashed the goddamn, and I don't know how it could happen. It's up and it's elevated. It wasn't knocked over or anything. It was in the exact same position. And nothing was moved around. That's why it was leading me to think that it was some sort of remote. I've read of there being shit like that. I'm not making that up. They can remotely attack your computer and make shit happen to it, like fry processors and fry hard drives remotely. Maybe they were trying to send some kind of thing to make it overheat, and I don't know. Maybe it was resilient because it wasn't on, and all it did was power surge it and make. I mean, I've got everything hooked into power surge protectors and all that stuff, so it couldn't have been anything like that. I don't know. It's just the goddamnedest thing I've ever seen because like I said, the whole front of the screen is cracked in. You can actually feel where the glass is separated. I can put my finger on it right now. Like I can feel. I mean, it would cut me if I ran my finger across it enough. It's completely shattered all the way across the front at like a V-shaped angle from one end all the way up to the other. And then the bizarrest thing is on the side, like the black. It's got like the black band or whatever around the screen. And what's bizarre about that is it's cracked by the black band, but it's crushed, and there's like a 2-inch like groove chunk taken out. I mean, literally, it looks like somebody took a hammer to it. It's the goddamnest thing I've ever seen. It's fucking weird. I mean, really bizarre. But like I said, that's what I was mentioning yesterday on the show when I was talking about. I mean, you just wouldn't even believe the shit that I've. Crazy weird, and that's why they love using these kind of attacks and all of this stuff. I mean, you're not an insane person for believing in this technology, believing that they use it, folks. It's documented that they use psychotronic weapons, sound wave weapons, and yeah, there's been plenty of the CIA and NSA has all of these dirty trick computer things where they can fry hard drives. That's why I used to do the show forever. I had it on Shoutcast and would do it live, on a Shoutcast radio stream. And I had to completely stop that because they were shutting us down every night. My computer, our server, everything would work tip top until right at the moment I went to go do a show, and everything would just get shut down. And I switched server companies a couple of times, and I finally got to this server company that was really good, had lots of protection, and they said that I had one of the largest denial of service attacks I've ever seen on my server. And then when their security worked and kept them from going and shutting my particular server box down for the Shoutcast server stream, they went after the entire. It was one of those big server farm companies. They went after the whole server farm company and fried their whole system, took their whole system down. They were down for like 2 or 3 days. It was unbelievable. And I mean, the server companies literally were sending me emails saying, we've never seen anything like this on this level. Because I guess they thought I was just running off a box at my house or something. But what I was doing, I was running because specifically for that. But you can go back and listen to some of those shows, and we've still got lots of listeners out there that remember listening in live every night. And that's why I started I had to start doing the shows pre-taped and pre-recorded. It's not the way I prefer to do it, but that's the reason why I had to go that, because I tried everything you can imagine, and everything would work tip top and great. We'd always play music like for a couple of hours on the network stream. That's how you'd know that was kind of the signal, because I'd play archive shows the rest of the time. But if you heard music come on the stream and you heard music playing for a couple of hours, I'd just go through on some stuff that I liked or whatever. And on Monday nights, we had Moonbat Metal Monday. We'd play all kinds of metal and fucking Judas Priest and fucking Megadeth and shit. And you would be sitting there streaming audio tip top for hours on end. And you go to do the show, and then boom, 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 the takedowns start happening. And my website's been visited by every fucking alphabet agency you can imagine. It's insane. One's a lot of people probably haven't even heard of, like the NRO. You ever heard of the the National Reconnaissance Organization? They make the FBI and the CIA and the NSA look like Little League Baseball. Yeah, so I shot myself when I saw the NRO. Like, what the fuck could they want? DARPA twice. DARPA? What the fuck? What are the boys in the white lab coats down at the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency? Why are they interested in my information. But of course, all the other regular usual suspects, CIA, a bunch. I've seen reroutes from Langley several times coming through my website. NRO, NSA. The one time I got hit 8 times in one day from the Monsanto headquarters in Missouri. I mean, we're talking. This was a while ago. I mean, I haven't even checked. Who knows now since I've been exposing Scientology, you know, MK Ultra and these connections with the Truth Movement and all this stuff, as I've been doing in the Spellcasters 1 and now with the music stuff in 2. I mean, who knows? Who fucking knows how many times we've been hit and visited since then? Yesterday or last night on the show, on the first show number 1 here for our 10-year anniversary celebration. Again, this is our 10-year anniversary here, and we've made it this far because of you, and I want to thank everybody out there for their continued support. I was talking about, you know, the whole sports thing and how now for me, since I have given a shit about it for so many years, you know, for a while it was like, oh, fucking stupid sports, you know, or whatever. And now it doesn't, because I see it or somewhere and the game is on, and I have no attachment to it and no care, so it doesn't even bother me anymore. And I didn't elaborate on that enough on really why I wanted to get across to you why that's important, is because it's not just that analogy, or it's not just that particular example that applies to. What that is really is a much greater thing that I think everybody needs to understand. And it's the main reason why, one of the other things I'm most proud of what I've accomplished in the past 10 years, and it's that I've never, you have to understand how rare this is, folks, and how rare of an example I am with this. I've never, ever used fear to try to sell you on this information. I have, from day one, I have set out for my goal to be no fear-mongering. No over-sensationalizing shit. Basically, everything Alex Jones does, I didn't want to do. That's pretty much, you could boil it down to that, I guess. Because all those things I'm naming is exactly his modus operandi. And not just him either. Let's be fair. Many, many others, too, using that same exact model. But, I've always tried to, and I never, if you watch my films, that's the thing. I do not try to beat you over the head and try to convince you into a way of thinking that matches mine. And I'm sorry, a lot of documentaries out there, and, you know, not even documentaries, even just crappy YouTube videos and stuff. People, they have their premise, they're dead set on it, and they work backwards from that, trying to convince you. If you watch my films, I present the information. You come to the understanding on your own. I love that, but the problem with that is that people then think they don't get that. So then they think they're figuring something out I didn't figure out because I didn't rub your nose in it like dog shit. And that's frustrating. Because I did that with my Secret Messages film series, the Bowie stuff and the Obelisk stuff, and I was very, very premeditated and careful about not wanting to try and beat anybody over the head with something and come to any conclusions. And of course, we got thousands of comments. Oh, well, no, what it's about is this, this, and this. And I said, no, oh, fine. If that's what you think it is, if that's what you think it is, and that's a conclusion you've come to based on the information, then that's fine. But trying to hammer me and say, oh, well, you fucked up because you didn't come to this conclusion, say it was about this. Well, no, I could have come to that conclusion. I could have come to a variety of many other conclusions. But that's not what I want to do. And that's the thing. People are so not used to even being allowed or even having someone tell them that it's okay to think for themselves, that when it happens, it's alien to them. And they reject it in some cases. It's so mind-blowing. That's how far and deep the brainwashing and the programming and the social engineering and the manipulation has gone, ladies and gentlemen. It's to the point now when someone comes along and actually tells the truth or actually tries to get people to think for themselves and doesn't fearmonger them and doesn't try to push products on them to fearmonger them even more and use the information as a weapon against them instead of something to free them, they don't know how to react to it. They react negatively to it because they're so used to being propagandized, sold a bill of goods, given a false narrative. People have been eating shit and liking it for so long that when something besides shit comes on the platter, they don't even know how to deal with it. It's just crazy. So as I was mentioning yesterday, with the whole, sports and football thing, that's my point is, not allowing, the thing is when you don't give something power and you remove the power that you give something, it can no longer have any power or effect over you. And I've talked about this principle in the past on the show, but it's a very real thing. I mean, that's what I think a lot of this into the world doomsday stuff is about. I mean, the power of suggestion is a very real thing. And the power of human manifestation is a very real thing. And it's another one of those sort of innate things and powers, as I described yesterday, that we have that lies dormant in us, and is this ability of us to be able to create our own reality. And I think that the powers that be know this. They know this full well. And this is why there's so much emphasis now put on, collective fear-mongering, the fear of, whatever it may be, whether it's fear of Muslims or fear of terrorists, fear of this, that, and the other. They're trying to get us to apply our energy and power and give our energy and power to these negative ideas and these negative scenarios and things so that these things will build and snowball out of control until they have a massive damaging effect. And of course, just like I talked about the other day, what I tell you now, I mean, again, I'm not a prediction guy, but what did I tell you about the whole prediction thing? I said I predicted that, of course, nothing would happen, and the guy would backtrack and say, "Oh well, no, this is just the beginning of it." And of course, that's exactly what he's done. Now it's October. Now they pushed it back to October. Now we're saying, "No, well, Saturday was the start." Yeah, but the actual end of the world now is coming on in October now. Listen, I talked about the show before last too, but one of the things I don't think I mentioned in the show, really what all this is, especially when they're involving the Anunnaki stuff and the Nibiru stuff. And again, I've been, one of the people that's talked and done tons of extensive research on the Anunnaki. It's actually a film project I was hoping to get made next year. I don't know. We've still got a fundraiser going up for it, but in the works, I've got Anunnaki, the movie, coming. And this is going to be, in my opinion, this is a movie I wanted to make for some time, and where I really want to lay out what's what and what's not on that subject, like mic drop style. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to hash it all out. I want to put all the fucking factual shit we know in there about it, and then also lay out all the horse shit, all the fear mongering, all the Nibiru crap, all the made ups of the CIA stuff, Scientology connection stuff, L. Ron Hubbard. The fact that none of that Xenu stuff existed in Scientology until after L. Ron got into Sitchin and all that. I mean, and of course, then on the other side of that, with what they're trying to do now. This is an attempt, ladies and gentlemen, for them to associate and get the words like Anunnaki and Nibiru into the public lexicon, which they've effectively done now, so that then those words and those subjects become associated with crackpots, people who make bullshit predictions, like this gentleman who's made these current things. That's what this has done. This is not about anything else other than their continued attempt to associate these topics that have been in our realm for quite some time with cranks and crackpots and religious zealots and the rest of it, to then attempt to take away credibility from these issues. That's what this is about. And it's unbelievable to me how many fronts this is happening on right now. You hear these stories that are coming out about, oh, we've solved the riddle of the Great Pyramid. We know how it was built now. Yeah, all of a sudden we know, right. None of those explanations have anything to do with the truth. And for sure don't have anything to do with the advanced technology and knowledge it would have taken to do those constructions. Easter Island, that's another one. Why all of a sudden are they attempting to try and tie up all the loose ends and loose knots, specifically pertaining to information that's been largely in the conspiratorial realm for many, many years? Why all of a sudden, specifically since Trump's been in office, specifically since I've exposed the connection to Scientology, Trump, the Truth Movement, Zachariah Sitch, and all the stuff I talk about in Spellcasters and Spellcasters 1.5. You hadn't seen 1.5 yet, and you've seen Volume 1, and you're waiting for 2, you need to go get 1.5 and watch that, okay? Because there's some updated stuff in there and some stuff I haven't even mentioned on the show yet, because there's one piece of information in particular in the Spellcasters 1.5 that I have not even given a spoiler for, not one time on the show. I've kept my mouth shut on it because I want people to watch it and see this. And it has to do with the whole fake alien invasion thing and Scientology and the rest of it. But all of a sudden, they're attempting to try and tie up all the loose ends. You know, people have started asking more questions. People become more interested in the whole Anunnaki thing. So what a better thing to do than to take the piss out of it by associating it with some crackpot making fucking into the world conspiracy theories that and predictions that don't come true. Literally, I mean, last night I went through and closed out all these articles that I had. I had like literally 30 different articles that have appeared in the news over the past couple of weeks to a month, many of which say, what is the Anunnaki? Talking about, what is Nibiru? Again, they had no interest in talking about these subjects. You notice how, as we've been eating their lunch in the alternative media for many years, and even myself and my stuff like Lost Secrets of Ancient America, they're just now catching up to the stuff I did in the Lost Secrets of Ancient America from between 2012 and 2014. They're just now catching up with it. I mean, there's a story I've got here in my stack tonight about, the earthworks in Brazil look eerily similar to Hopewell Mounds found in Ohio. No shit, Sherlock. Welcome to the fucking party. I went to fucking Ohio and filmed 3-4 years ago. I exposed all the stuff about the sexagesimal numerical system being found in Ohio earthworks that only that the Babylonians have. Why they're aligned to solar alignments, because, you know, of course, 666 being the number for the Babylonian sun god. They're either getting ready to reveal something real soon, stage the alien invasion thing, something. Because they're really trying to tie up loose ends on a lot of different subjects right now, not just this Anunnaki thing and the other thing. With, the pyramids. Oh, Easter Island, that was the other one. Oh, now we know that was a story. Let me see if I've got it up here. Archaeologists solve mystery of how Easter Island's tiny population built hundreds of statues. Well, fucking A, man. Bully for the archaeological world this week. Shit. How many years have people been wondering about these mysteries? All of a sudden, this week, as we're hearing about Nibiru cataclysms in the Anunnaki, all of a sudden, they've overnight solved the mystery of the pyramids and the mystery of Easter Island. Well, goddamn, aren't you motherfuckers on it? That's a little bit too convenient, folks. In fact, it's way more than convenient. This just reeks and smells of an operation. Reeks and smells of an operation. All of a sudden, any of the questions, any of the things that people have pointed out, because, of course, again, with any of these subjects, and that's what's fascinating, man, it doesn't matter what subject it is. Anytime, I mean, whether it's the cover-up for the rock wall that they attempted to do with my work, with America Unearthed, again, any of this stuff, it doesn't matter. It's not what they talk about, it's what they don't talk about. But because now these shows and, you know, whether it be Ancient Aliens or whatever, because they're getting more savvy and they're starting to let more stuff slip out to try and lend more credibility to themselves with people who've actually done the research. Again, it's not what they're talking about, it's what they leave out. They don't want to show you how all these ancient sites like Easter Island and the Great Pyramids and, oh gosh, all the other ones that David Hatcher talking about, sexy woman, giant stone balls in South America, black balls. Who could have made some kind of giant black balls? Big black balls. Huge balls. Black. Some kind of ancient civilization had to have built these black balls. I think that dude just likes saying black balls, honestly. All these ancient sites all connect together. Meridian lines, they were aligned with each other. I mean, you got sites like the Newark Earthworks, which I went to in Ohio, which you can draw a direct line to the Great Pyramid at Giza around it. There's a line that connects directly to it. But they don't bring that stuff up. They don't talk about that. Just like History Channel, when they were talking about the rock wall, didn't ever mention what it was made up of. They did no chemical analysis on the stones whatsoever. They put in certain things, they leave out others, and then that's how they build the false narrative that then, when anybody else comes along in the alternative media or somebody who's actually done hard research and work on this and brings up these questions, and they say, well, no, see, we didn't have that figured out for many years, but now we have figured it out, see? This is horseshit. This is not happening all at once by chance or coincidence. All of a sudden, we're just batting 1,000, figuring stuff out, figuring out great ancient mysteries around the planet. Come on. What else? It applies to this subject too. What do I mention first here? Well, let's talk about this first. Let's talk about this. Somebody asked me if I had... I was going to talk about this last night. I actually hadn't watched it. It just aired 2 nights ago. I'm telling you, folks, listen, this is not bullshit, man. These motherfuckers monitor every goddamn thing. I mean, they're monitoring me before I even talk about this shit on air. Because even before I did any shows or bringing up the Tupac stuff in some of the previous shows I talked about it, I had already been, I've been into this stuff and looking into it for a long time. I mentioned that the first show I talked about it on a couple weeks ago or whatever it was, a month ago. I even said that there's many subjects that I know a lot about, but I just, I don't talk about them or whatever. And that Tupac thing was one of them. But shit, man, they aired, I guess it was night before last. And I guess it aired on Fox. You can go and find it to download. It's on BitTorrent. Who Shot Biggie and Tupac? Fox News did this hour-and-a-half investigation. I got to tell you, folks, if you listen to those Tupac shows I did and you watch this, it's going to blow your fucking mind because you're going to see everything I've been telling you is the truth. And specifically in terms of my research and things I've put together, nobody else has put together. They're launching preemptive fucking strikes against my ass now. Like they're trying to get out ahead of stuff that they know I've got coming out, a few months or whatever down the road. Unbelievable. But this is another example of what I was just telling you about. Because there's a lot of stuff in this show, folks, that I'm shocked they even talked about. Because it's funny to me, just like this pyramids and this Easter Island thing, people have been talking about this stuff for years. They've never mentioned any of this stuff on TV or any other shows before. Literally, folks, there's stuff in this they've never talked. Why are they talking about it now? Because they know I'm coming for them. I'm coming for you motherfuckers. How hard am I coming for? You don't even know. You just don't even know. Spellcasters 2, and then I'm going to put out my own little mini Tupac film after that. Dude, y'all are fucked. They know it. Because there's some stuff, I'm telling you, there's some stuff they... But again, it's not what they tell you in there, it's what they don't tell you and what they don't bring up in this thing. But it's just really, at the end of the day, it's worth watching, but please understand while you're watching it that this is just another attempt to muddy the water and get you to not know what to believe. That's really what it is. That's Soledad O'Brien and Ice-T in this shit. Man, there's some shit. They got, you remember I was telling you, I was talking about Haitian Jack? They got fucking like Haitian Jack on fucking Skype. And, yeah, it's interesting. I had never heard this song, and I heard it the other day. It blew me away. This is the last song on the Machiavelli Killuminati album, which was the actual final record he put out and released, even though there was stuff that came out after he supposedly died. But again, you got to underline that supposedly. But if you want to really get technical about it, the last album that he actually put out, Don, the song on the last song on there, I couldn't believe it when I heard these lyrics, man. It just blew me away. Against All Odds, I think, is the name of the song, something like that. But, yeah, he just straight up says it in there. He's like, sit back, relax, and something like that. I'm going from memory here. Something about sit back, relax while I take you back and tell you about a story about a real-life tale about a snitch named Haitian Jack. Knew he was working for the feds. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize he actually, well, goddamn, there's the fucking, there's the smoking gun on who, if he was actually killed, which I don't believe he was based on the crime scene and all the other evidence, but if you wanted to believe that he was killed, I mean, there's the smoking gun right there. But of course, no one's ever gone after Haitian Jack. They deported him, not from some story, oh, he shot somebody or something like that. No, they deported him because he's got the goods. So he knew he knew that guy was working for the feds and everything else. They got Haitian Jack in this documentary. They talked to Suge Knight from jail, and Suge says it again. Remember what I told you Suge said? He said it again on there. It's just a real short little snippet. They didn't spend much time on it. They moved right past it. But he said it again. He said, he may not even really actually be dead. And Soledad O'Brien had this, smug, fucked up look on her face, like, well, what the fuck's his brother talking about? Like, may not be dead. And he said the same thing he said again, in different words. He said, well, why is it that we were laughing and he was doing good the last time I saw him? I mean, he was sitting there shot and he was laughing and he was telling me that I'm the one that needed to go to the hospital. And then he's like, I'm not going to say he's still alive. I'm just going to say that with Pac, you never know. That's what he said on this one. In other ones, he said, stuff about the autopsy and that. And you see in Ice-T's like, yeah. And you see him get all excited about it. And it's clear by Ice-T's reaction that Ice-T also knows that he's not dead and he's living in Cuba. But then later on, at the end of the show, they bring up the Cuba thing and Ice-T completely denounces it and says, no, this, that, the other, that's not true. And then they, of course, what do they end up doing in the end? They bring up some of the stuff the deeper stuff I mentioned in previous shows, but then they take it all back to that bullshit Orlando Anderson story. So at the end of the show, after all this other, interesting tidbits in there, they also make the claim that when Tupac was shot at Quad Studios, when he was shot 5 times, which he blamed on Notorious B.I.G. and wrote the song "Hit 'Em Up" and all that, they make the claim. I've never heard this before. They make the claim. This was unbelievable. This was the part that blew me away the most about this thing. They went to Fab Five Freddy's house. I guess Fab Five Freddy used to be the host of MTV Raps or something. So he interviewed everybody. He played these audio clips. He played an audio clip by by Tupac's right-hand man. Funny enough, all the guys that were witnesses to the shooting at Quad Studios, they're all dead or disappeared. Nobody knows where they're at. Most of them are all dead. But he had an audio clip of both Tupac's right-hand man and Notorious B.I.G. himself. And they make the claim in this Tupac and Biggie documentary that aired 2 nights ago, they make the claim that when he was shot 5 times, he actually was only shot once and accidentally shot himself the other times. And they have Notorious B.I.G. on tape. Fab Five Freddy has Notorious B.I.G. on tape, has an audio record. Now, wait a minute. Something's fucked up about this. If Fab Five Freddy's had these recordings all this 21 years later, why the fuck is he just now coming out with this shit? Something's a little too convenient about that. We've never heard about this before. I've been researching this stuff for years. I've never heard it insinuated that they insinuate that Tupac shot himself or accidentally shot himself. And then, because he was embarrassed, concocted the story that he was shot 5 times by these guys. But what's interesting, when you look at how that's chain of events, what that spawned, it spawned then very shortly after that, Notorious B.I.G. coming out with a song called Who Shot Ya, which Pac heard while he was in prison and assumed was written about him. But then Notorious B.I.G. was saying, man, no, this song was written, it was long before that even happened. But that moment is what fueled the entire so-called East Coast, West Coast feud, and the media took and ran with, was that incident at Quad Studios. And I got to be honest with you, now that I'm looking at all this, I'm looking at this all in a completely different way. There might very well be something to the whole thing with, maybe he didn't get shot 5 times. I don't think there's something to that, but I think there is something to that event being staged. Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's the conclusion I've come to. All this stuff was staged. All this East Coast, West Coast stuff was all staged. None of these guys were really in gangs. They paid off. In fact, they paid off the gangs in many cases in order to be associated with gangs in the media and on record and stuff. Even Suge Knight himself on Howard Stern. Suge Knight himself said on the Howard Stern show that Snoop Dogg and other rappers paid off Crips, Bloods, and everything else so they could have association with them to present themselves as quote-unquote gangster rappers. And I always wonder, because there's this, and, Suge, he was always associated with Blood, so that's why you'd always see him have the, fucking red suit on, always wore red shirt, this, that, and the other. And, Snoop was always associated with the Crips, and the Crips, they wear the blue bandanas, right, if you don't know about the gang stuff, and the Bloods, of course, wear the red bandanas, but there was like a Source magazine cover. It always, even when I didn't know much about this stuff, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I think it had Suge, and it had Tupac, and I think it had Snoop. And Suge had on like the red suit, right? But Tupac's got on the blue bandana. Like he's associated with Crip. It didn't make any sense. These guys there's multiple pictures like this where these guys are wearing colors for opposite gangs than they're associated with. And I couldn't figure that out for the longest time. Now I know it's just because it was all bullshit. None of that stuff was real. All of this stuff was concocted. And I got to be honest with you, and I know this is not going to make this is going to make some people uncomfortable. It's going to make a lot of people very happy, especially when I come out with it in my little mini film in a few months. But I got to be honest with you. I have a completely new look at this. I don't think that Tupac was killed by the CIA or any of this stuff. I think that he was CIA. I think he was recruited by the CIA early on. I'm talking even before his rap career or any of that stuff began, because they were wanting to use him because of his mother and his affiliation with the Black Panthers. The Geronimo, one of the main anti-government Black Panthers, back in the day, was his godfather. And he attended this very elite school in Maryland. It was like an art school where he met Jada Pinkett. And, go and look at how far, it's in Baltimore, go look how far from Langley, Virginia, from the CIA, from where that school is. Not far at all. And yes, the CIA does recruit people out of arts magnet schools and stuff like that. Yes, they do. Out of elite schools, yeah. Because he talks about how there was, him and Jada Pinkett were like, some of the only black people there. And, she's another one that I had heard years ago. In Spellcasters 1.5, I talk about Leah Remini. And Leah Remini, here years ago, hearing that Leah Remini, even before she left Scientology, I remember seeing a list online about known CIA assets and whatnot and contractors in Hollywood, and Leah Remini's name was on it. And I just laughed my ass off going, what the fucking King of Queens chick, CIA? Lo and behold, though, said that information means nothing to you out of the context of knowing that Scientology was completely created by the CIA and all the rest of it, all the stuff I've covered in the Spellcasters. But absolutely, Tupac's death was faked. I believe he was probably recruited by the agency early on. And I mean, look at his film career. He was an actor playing a part, even the whole time. That's what the whole significance of him, quote unquote, killing Tupac and becoming instead Machiavelli. And again, Suge Knight talks about the interview. He's like, well, he goes, you got to think about it. He's like, my code name was Simon, right? That's just what Suge saying. My code name was Simon, and his code name was Machiavelli. And if you know anything about Machiavelli, you know that Machiavelli faked his own death. This is why Tupac took on the name Machiavelli on the Don Kill Illuminati album, which was essentially first supposed to be a diss record, strictly a diss record. That was the record that was supposed to kick off the whole phony feud thing. But instead, Tupac used it as a vehicle to out people who were actually working with the feds and stuff. And he even makes some sort of reference in there that he says something about, what's his name? Puffy. Something about, Puffy. Something about, he makes some reference to him being some sort of connected guy too. But it's like, where was he getting his information from? So recently, this is huge. I'm about to tie all this stuff together for you. Check this shit out. Jada Pinkett Smith is a Scientologist and played hide and seek with Tom Cruise at his massive estate, claims Leah Remini. Well, I tell you, Leah Remini, she's out of control. She is just so smug and arrogant because her and her new, I'm telling you, they're fucking. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Her and Mike Render, they're up to something. And you could tell by watching their body language in the season 2 of this new show, those two are having sex. Something's up with Mike Render and Leah Remini. Those two are definitely having sex. You can just, I can smell it over the screen. You can read the body language. Like I said before, I had already figured that those two were getting ready to start their own offshoot Scientology group. I still think that's the case. They're going to start their own. That's what all this is about. Demonizing established Scientology so they can create a new CIA-controlled version of it that they sell to the public as being the nice, soft, and cuddly Scientology. They're going to start their own offshoot squirrel group at some point. You can just see it. I don't give a damn what anybody says. You don't go through those. You are not even the person you were anymore once you go through OT level Scientology. People who have gone through those upper level OT levels of Scientology, ladies and gentlemen, are not to be trusted. If you don't listen to anything else I ever tell you, God damn it, listen to me about that. Don't ever trust these people that have gone through OT levels of Scientology. They are not to be trusted. I don't care if they tell you they left, they're out of it. Folks, you are not a person anymore. You are controlled by these entities, and these entities are working through you for their own devices. And little does she's so arrogant now, Leah Remini, she doesn't even know that by making these claims, because she knows that everybody else out there in the world who doesn't know any about this stuff is not going to think anything about this. Me and others of you out there that have seen this information now, we've got her figured out. She just outed herself. First off, you don't get to go. This is unbelievable. Look, Leah Remini, you know why they were all there? This is just, I can't even speak. I'm just flustered. This is insane. Let me read this. Leah Remini, best known for her starring role, blah, 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 says Jada Pinkett Smith is still a paid-up member of the Church of Scientology. Like her husband, Will Smith, Pinkett Smith denies that she's a member of the controversial church, but unlike him, she is a supporter, Remini claims. Quote, I know Jada's in. She's been in Scientology for a long time. Remini told the Daily Beast, I never saw Will there, but I saw Jada at the Hollywood Celebrity Center. They opened up a Scientology school and have since closed it. But Jada, I had seen her at the Scientology Celebrity Center all the time. Remini, 47, who was raised in Scientology, has been an ardent public critic of the religion since she left in 2013. One of her most curious was an encounter with the Smiths, Jada Pinkett, and Tom Cruise when the Mission Impossible star suggested a game of hide and seek on his vast estate. At first, I thought he was joking, she wrote in the book, but no, he literally wanted to play hide and seek with a bunch of grown-ups in what was probably close to a 7,000 square foot house on almost 3 full acres of secluded land. Well, first off, number one, if Jada Pinkett Smith's not a Scientologist, she's not getting in there with Tom Cruise. You don't get to go to Tom Cruise's house unless you are an upper-level Seymour member. But what do Tom Cruise, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Leah Remini all have in common besides Scientology? All three are rumored to be CIA assets. Remini, you just outed yourself, bitch. You just outed yourself. And my point is proven. Who was Tupac? Who did he call my whole heart? Who did he say is my soulmate? Who did he say is the person I've known the longest? Jada. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, Jada Pinkett and Tupac, I believe, again, it just conveniently both came out of this very elite art school in Baltimore, not far from Langley, Virginia, not far from CIA headquarters. They both go on to become big stars. The CIA connections, the phony death, the faking of that, and then to top it all off, she ends up marrying Will Smith, and there's a video. This blew me away. There's a video of Tupac and go type Tupac and Jada into YouTube. There's a video from them when they were in high school together at that school in Baltimore, and they're miming, rapping, and singing on this video. And guess what song they're doing? Parents Just Don't Understand by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Remember, before the TV shows, before the movies, that he was a corny ass cornball rapper. Oh God, he was the worst, wasn't he? Was there anybody who was ever? I mean, I don't even know. Maybe Kanye. I don't know. But here they are in high school, and they're singing, this song together. And she goes and marries him many years later. The reason why Jada Pinkett Smith is not coming out about being associated with Scientology is because the association outs her association with the CIA. And all of this stuff, there's a whole reason why these shows exist. Who shot Tupac and Biggie? How come we hadn't figured it out 20 years later? Because it goes to the upper echelons of these people who have been in cahoots with the CIA and have been used for political assassinations and the staging of reality in general. That's where the whole Nation of Islam connection comes in. Like I talk about in Spellcasters 1.5. Leah Remini, who's the one that paid for all of the Nation of Islam guys to start coming into Scientology? Leah Remini. The brothers with the bow ties, the guys seen around the Biggie shooting and around Tupac shooting. Who were they? Nation of Islam. Here's Jada Pinkett, the closest person to Tupac. Who Leah Remini's now saying is a paid-up Scientologist. She's been trying to hide that. And they're all three at Tom Cruise's house, hanging out, playing hide and seek. And Leah Remini is so arrogant, she doesn't know that you have to be super high level. You don't even get into around his, in his life. The levels of security, the levels of security clearance it takes just to even be in Tom Cruise's life and to even be in that situation. You only get there if you're CIA. So she just outed them all. But she's so arrogant, and she thinks we're all fucking retards and no one will ever figure this out, that she said, oh, I know Jada Pinkett's blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, maybe so, but you just outed yourself too. I mean, folks, case closed as far as I'm concerned. And that show, what do they do in that show? The Tupac and Biggie show, they try to sell that narrative that Orlando Anderson was the shooter that killed Tupac. He was the guy that, that the fight broke out with after the Tyson fight. Remember that? And of course, all these people are dead now. He died in 2008, suppose he was shot. But go look at the pictures of Orlando Anderson, the video camera footage of him, and then there's a footage of him when he sued the Tupac estate, I think in 2007 or 1990, or 2007, 2000, somewhere there, and then died in 2008. But go look at the pictures of him from around 2008. Look how similar this supposed Orlando Anderson character is. They've tried to sell us on, and continue to try to sell us on being the Tupac shooter. Go look at how, this is bizarre. I don't even know how to account for this. He looks like Tupac. Go look at the later pictures of him, the picture right before he supposedly died. He literally looks like he could be related to Tupac. But again, it's very clear, and I kind of suspected this before. I think Ice-T CIA too. Now after watching that show, now that you've heard me talk about this, go watch that newest show, man, on Fox. I'm telling you, I can't even put it into words for you. The reason that those murders have never been solved is because one of them was real and one of them wasn't. But regardless of that, all this stuff's connected to the highest levels of the agency, and it's connected into the CIA. It's connected into the government being involved in the cocaine trafficking situations, which I'll be talking about in Spellcasters 2 and showing you how that relates to these different musicians and stuff. And then, of course, I think it's coming out this weekend or something. Tom Cruise is coming out with the Barry Seal movie where he's playing Barry Seal and the whole 80s cocaine trafficking thing. I mean, my God, folks, they're laughing at us over here. A little old fucking Josh Reeves, it took my fucking monkey ass to fucking finally figure all this shit out. Christ on a fucking cracker, man. Unfucking believable. No, but that was, again, it's crazy how, like, that all of a sudden they're trying to, in this week alone, folks, the mainstream media has tried to tie a nice bow and a ribbon and tie off all the loose ends on the Great Pyramids, the Easter Island, and Tupac and Biggie. All in 1 week. Boy, these motherfuckers are busy right now. What's the hurry? Then they got the Barry Seal movie coming out, too, to, of course, manipulate reality and facts on that situation, too. And who do they got playing him? Tom Cruise. I mean, my God, folks. So they use their own assets to do these operations, and then they use their assets again to cover them up by putting them in making them star in movies where they fictionalize the actual events. It's genius. Fucking genius. And then all the sheep just go, oh, well, I wouldn't believe that. He's just an actor. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Wake up. Man, oh man, oh man. All right, well, this concludes show number 2. There will be show number 3 if we can get some people to go in and support our... we got to get this telethon thing going. We need more. We only had 2 contributions today. We need more. We need everybody getting us all pumped in there so we can reach 100%. Go and check out the campaign page. We'll have links for all the fundraisers here on the video for you in the comment section, the read more section, and up on our Facebook pages for the Global Reality Radio Network and Josh Reeves, filmmaker, talk show host, Explorer page. All the links are there. Go get your contributions in. You have, we've extended it until tomorrow, but after that, that's it. So if we get another $500 in the next 3 to 4 hours, I'll deliver another show. Let's do it. All right, folks, we'll talk soon. Peace out.